Hi, screenwriters. Welcome to PCTV's and Carnegie Screenwriters FadeIn. I'm Minda Briley, and I'm here today with Mr. Michael Buzzelli.
That's me.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Good. So you are kind of the jack of all trades when it comes to writing. I've made a list of things that I know you have done in the past.
Okay.
Which include stand-up comedian.
Yes.
Theater reviewer.
Yes.
Author.
Yes.
Columnist.
Yes.
Actor.
Yes.
And screenwriter.
Yes.
And teacher of all those trades.
Yes. Exactly. That's me. That's me in a nutshell right there.
How do you have time to do anything on your own?
Oh, good Lord, no. I really don't. No, but yeah, I review theater for Berg Vivant. And I am writing a newspaper column. It is a weekly humor column that I write for the Observer Reporter, which out of Washington, PA. I do some stand-up comedy around town and other places. And what else is on acting? Yes, I do that. I've been in some short films.
Do you want to review? You can update your
what
resume
else
with
am
that
I
later.
doing? I do all these things. Yes. No. Yeah, I'm good. And yeah, writing a screenplay, several, and a book.
Your book.
Yes. Oh, then this book. Yes.
This book that
Oh,
we
okay.
have conveniently here with us.
How about that?
Below Average Genius.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about it?
Oh, sure. So my book, Below Average Genius, as you previously mentioned, boy, I'm like just Below Average Genius. It is a series of my humor columns from the Observer Reporter. I write a weekly humor column there. I haven't missed one in 5 years, every Saturday for 5 years.
So this is like the best ofs.
It is yes, I'd like to think so.
It was very funny.
Oh, we'll see. Okay, then yes.
So you lived in LA for a while. You're
Yeah.
from here in Pittsburgh. Do you find Pittsburgh humor distinct from like LA or other places?
I see what you're getting at. Humor is universal, but humor is also objective and subjective. It is both things. There's a way that there are things everyone laughs at. There are things few people laugh at. There are things no people laugh at. I've been in front of an audience, and trust me, I know all of those things. But there is some regional stuff. You'll see in a lot of Pittsburgh-made films. You'll see regional accents, and it's funny. There's a lot of really witty stuff to draw from that. But as long as the emotional content of what a character is going through is there, it doesn't matter. As you know, you can watch a comedy from Stockholm and find it just, well, maybe you're not the best person because you got a little Swedish in you, right? No, Nordic, okay. Well, you can find a comedy from Germany. I don't know if Germans make comedies, but okay. My point is, they do. You can find a comedy anywhere. It is always about somebody who wants something, as are all screenplays. It is somebody that wants something, and there are obstacles in his way or her way to get at that thing. And comedy comes from that striving of wanting something or being frustrated by your obstacles in the way. You don't need to, yes, Pittsburgh Dad is a good example of like regional comedy, but it is working around town and it's going national. There are people laughing at it all over.
And not just people that know Pittsburghers. It's
right.
Playing.
Right.
All of
you
it.
know, there's always, you got Cranky Dad is really, you know,
Sure,
it's Cranky Dad with
That's
an
that's
unusual
universal.
accent is what Pittsburgh Dad is.
Yeah. Very good. So we can show a clip now of Mike's stand-up performance.
Okay, roll it.
Here's the deal. I lived in Los Angeles and I went out for all these acting jobs, and here's the thing. I look like this, but I sound like this. So they'd always want to cast me as like mafia dude. Yeah, I know. I look like a soprano, but I can only sing like one. So no, I would get the lines and they'd be like, oh, you're gonna be mafia guy number 2, okay? And I'd read the line and the line would be, we're gonna go get Joey, we're gonna take him out. Okay, they meant dead, right? Dead. I always get the line and be like, we're gonna go get Joey and we're gonna take him out. I was sounding like we're going to Shady Side for mojitos.
Okay, so I sort of do that. Lots of that.
Lots of that. So you work with a lot of writers
Yes.
and screenwriters, and you teach it as well?
I taught screenwriting, yes. I taught the art of comedy screenwriting because it was in an art gallery. We called it that. But no, there really is an art to it. It is an art form, just as all forms of, art.
What do you think is a common pitfall for comedy writers, especially in screenplay format?
Well, a common pitfall is it not being funny. But no, really, the problem I see a lot is people explaining a joke. You need to show it, do it, say it, and get the heck onto something else. There was a good example of a movie called Thank You for Smoking. As they walk through the lobby of this hotel, there's a guy. He's just in the lobby doing this Zen garden thing, and it's hilarious because they're talking and the guy's walking, and but they make reference to the Zen garden guy, and it blew the joke for me. It was like, you've now just gone past the line of demarcation. When you over-explain the joke, when you say, well, the reason that's funny, basically mansplaining is a bad thing, right?
Comedy-splaining.
Yes, comedy-splaining. Look at this is funny, That's always a problem. Yeah, and obviously, another thing I see a lot of writers do is they don't get to the point quick enough. Comedy is fast, especially if you're writing a sitcom. You're supposed to be 3 jokes on a page. That's a lot. When you think about when you're writing, especially a screenplay or a sitcom, any sort of screenwriting, there's not a lot of words in the first place. There's a lot of white space. So you have narration and you have dialogue, and you got to get a lot in. And 3 jokes is the best way to do that is to do a joke, then tag it, and then tag it again. A tag in a joke is if I mention the circus, okay, then you would say something about the clowns, maybe, and then I would say something about, carnival barkers or something, like you
Weaving
stay on the
it.
same subject and just, boom, boom, boom. You keep the same joke going with different steps, just different additions to it. Like if you're building a house, you build a house and then you build on an addition and then another addition. So that's really...
Do you do that same thing with stand-up?
Yes. You'll find that there's a lot of crossover between stand-up comedy and screenwriting and the book. Well, it's a humor book, so a lot of the stories told in the book I've used in my act, and vice versa. I've come up with something on stage and go, hey, that would make a great column.
So how do you pick, when you hear a joke in your head, how do you pick what forum it's going to fit into best?
Well, these days, it goes to the column first most of the time because I am writing one a week. They air every Saturday. My deadline is like Wednesday. I turn the column in. Tomorrow I'll be writing something and have it sent in. So because I'm writing weekly, it's 500 words every week, and it's got to be funny. So to do that, things usually get airtime in the column first, and then I'll work them out in a joke in form. And usually on stage, it'll be the same it'll be similar. It'll just be shorter and more to the point. In the book, I get to, in the column and in a book, I get to weave a little bit more and do a little bit more description. You don't need all that description. And also in screenplays, you don't need a lot of description. You just want to get to it. Stand-up, and it's a lot of stand-up writers are very good at writing screenplays because they know get to the joke, get to the joke.
So what are some of your favorite comedies? Shows, movies?
Okay, if we're going movies, I pick Galaxy Quest because it's just like the one I go to. Anti-Mame is a good one. Woody Allen's a perfect example of someone he started in stand-up, and then he wrote Annie Hall. Annie Hall's a brilliant piece of writing, and it's really funny.
And it's not like there's no physical comedy in Annie Hall.
There's no
big
tripping, and there's no like Kramer coming through the door.
Yeah, it's all character-driven.
Character-driven comedy. Those are the things I like best. My book is another example of that, is that it is situations that I've gotten myself into, you know, ordering something wrong at the counter, saying the wrong thing to someone, accidentally, you know, asking somebody if they're pregnant and they're, oh, nope, just overweight.
Just chubby.
It happens, like all these normal things that happen to people. And Annie Hall's a good example of that. He's just talking about his neuroses, and they're just going through the relationship and how that. What I find best about most comedies, and for anybody that wants to write a comedy, this is my piece of advice that I would give, is that comedy is drama with a little something extra. If you listen to the log line of any comedy, you hear about what the person wants and why they're frustrated trying to get it. Like Ghostbusters even. Ghostbusters is hilarious, right? It's a story of three men that come up with an idea of how to stop Armageddon. You know, there's nothing really funny when you think about Bridesmaids. It's the story about a woman who feels scorned by her best friend, and she's trying to overcome it by being the best bridesmaid she can, right? That's not funny. The situation she gets into funny. It's a good testament that it's drama. You get to the heart of it, what a person wants, and then you add in the funny.
So do you think that in comedy writing, should the characters or the story push the comedy along?
Well, both. But what I definitely don't like is when a character says something that they wouldn't normally say because it drives the plot, or they needed someone to say that thing particularly because it's funny that way. But oh, Joan wouldn't say that. She used to be a nun, and now she's talking about prostitution. You know what I mean? It's like you
have to keep it
in
context.
To keep them in context. Yeah. You know, one of the pitfalls of sitcoms, that's not an easy sentence to say, is that you'll see the first couple of episodes, they're brilliant. They're like really very well written. And then the characters start becoming like on their own. Like if you look at something like Will and Grace, Jack gets stupider and stupider every season to the point where he should probably have a bib and somebody should be feeding him, because there's no way he can function in society. He becomes so stupid.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. He can't work stairs anymore. It's like, what? So, but when you listen, like he was sardonic in the first few episodes. If you go back and watch something like that show, and you look something like Golden Glorious, a classic sitcom, they get sillier and sillier as the years go on. But it starts out with some brilliant writing.
What do you like best of all the things you do? What's your favorite?
Oh my gosh, that's like getting me to choose my favorite child. No, I'm writing a lot. You know, I actually like the teaching a lot. I find it very rewarding to tell a story and tell somebody how to like fix something, or, you know, like, oh, that's like, somebody comes to me with a problem. All of these things, writers create problems and then they decide how to fix them. Everything, like when you're writing a screenplay and your character desperately wants to marry the girl, okay? John really wants to marry Susan, and he's determined, even though Susan's gonna marry somebody else, we try to fix the problem. It's like, find a way to fix the problem. Give them a problem and find a way to fix it. Give them another problem, find a way to fix it. Every scene should be written that way, that every scene interlock, and you have this thing happens and then that thing happens, and it propels him closer or further from his goal.
So how do you keep the funny coming? You say, keep it, it's fast, but what if you have an idea in your head of something you think is funny, but you just can't figure out the laugh?
I suggest you write it first. You write the situation. Then you get someone, a friend. I would recommend Carnegie Screenwriters. It's a perfectly good group to go to and have them see it and hear it, be able to take the criticism. Nobody's really that harsh. Nobody's going to say, get the heck out of this room. What the hell are you doing? You should never even touch a pencil again. No, it's very kind. It's very loving sort of advice. It's being able to hear that advice and move forward and go. And, you know, obviously, some people think racial jokes are funny. You know, it's a tricky situation when you're presenting, when you want to do something that's a mass market to a lot of people. You better be very clear that it's something everybody will find funny. You know what I mean?
I do.
So, yeah, and you don't want to, you know, you also don't want to go toward stereotypes or anything, because we've all seen it. There's been 100 years of film and television almost. We've seen everything. You've got to present something in a new way, a fresh way. And one of the things I think Pittsburgh screenwriters do a lot is that you have something that's like, they'll say, oh, it's just as good as what they're making in Hollywood. Well, unfortunately, when we're here, we have to be better than there because we're here.
What do you think about writing? I mean, we have 100 years of film. We've seen everything.
Yeah.
I feel that a lot of times comedies, we get into a comedy rut. Like we kind of get, we get like 4 or 5 fish out of water stories at a time, and then we see a whole bunch of like the same situational comedy again. So what do you say to people to get them out of writing in rut in that kind of cookie cutter fashion?
Always try to present something in a new and interesting way. Maybe your story about a boy meets girl, boy gets girl, maybe there's a new way to say it. And because that's always going to happen. Boys are always going to meet girls, or or girls are going to meet girls. I mean, we're in an age where we can do the same story in different ways now. People are always going to want something, right? Mm-hmm. That will never go away. There will always be room for romantic comedies, but you don't want to see the same thing happening. It's like, oh my God, this again. Mm-hmm. Somebody being left at the altar. Let's not do that again. Find a new way, some different thing to do.
Without getting stuck in a trope.
Without getting stuck in the trope. Yeah, and the best way I think to do that is you tell the story the way you want to tell it. You tell the story the way you think it. A lot of people will go, oh, I don't think it would happen that way. Maybe you should write it this way or that way. Well, maybe the way you envision it is the better choice, mm-hmm. because it's your own unique story. I was talking to a writer that had a transgendered FBI agent. Okay? I was like, yeah, it's time for that story. Go do it, you know? Because you'll see most movies right now, if there's a transgender person, they're usually like the prostitute or the, something else. Like, why not have a cop? There's a Navy SEAL. In real life, there's a Navy SEAL that's transgendered. Oh, left the SEALs and now is trans. Why not do that? Do the story from your own unique voice. I think that's much more sellable than writing something you think will sell.
So now I would say, because you already suggested that people come to Carnegie Screenwriters with their work to bounce it off of us.
Or any other writing group.
Any other writing, sure. So how much would you say they should take, and how much do you think they should be true to their art?
Well, that's a good point. You have to find what is actual criticism, Like, no, your character is monotone. Your character has no emotional range or something. Those are the things you're going to look for. Not, add a trip to Italy.
I was telling you as an actor, and I did a lot of classical theater. I read a lot of plays. So I read Oedipus. Oedipus is the story of a man who finds out he's married to his mother. I know, ew. Ew. They don't even do that on Springer. I'm serious. If it's too scary for Jerry, it shouldn't be done, people. That's what I'm saying. The other story I read the story of Othello. Othello is the story of a black man who murders his white wife because he thinks she's having an affair. Is there a Bronco chase in this play? Because okay, God's seen it.
So Mike, what are you working on now?
The weekly column, as always. I'm going to be teaching a comedy workshop for teens and tweens at Bethel Park Library. I'm really excited about that. I think kids need to know how to tell a joke. And I'm basically starting with what I tell everyone, though. It is a joke is a very, very short story with a surprise ending. But what I plan to do is teach them how to tell jokes that come from themselves, not from others. Personality-driven stuff, which most stand-ups that you see, they're writing stuff about themselves. And it's just reality augmented. Once again, drama with a little something extra. Mm-hmm. You'll find every stand-up, it's like they're talking about their own insecurities, their own fears, why they didn't get a job. Some of the best routines I've ever seen. Jeff Garlin from that TV show, the 80s television show, The Goldbergs, he does a stand-up routine about how he lost a job. And it's hilarious. It's all those naturalistic ways of telling humor. Don't tell somebody else's joke, tell your own joke. That's what I'm teaching.
And what would your advice for writers be?
My advice for writers is that balance of listening to the criticisms of others and taking it in and deciding what is good and what isn't. That really is on them, though. And always do it the quickest way possible. You'll see the thing I hate about when I see it, I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on a rant here. But one of the things I don't like is when you see a movie or you're reading a screenplay and you have a waiter come on and he asks somebody what would they like? What are you having? If I say salmon with a side of vegetables, that's not interesting. If I say, I plan on killing your husband, that's a story, right? So we don't need the waiter.
That's the conflict in the scene.
That's the conflict.
Not side of salad.
I don't need salmon with vegetables? Okay, let's talk about this for 10 minutes. No, usually you'll see in the movie Bridesmaids is a good example of this. The second scene in that movie, she is in a restaurant with Maya Rudolph. I always ask people, what did the waiter say? The waiter doesn't say anything. Their food is there, they're done eating, they're now just sitting, discussing relationships. Nobody wants to see, well, we're out of the peas, ma'am. I don't know what to tell you.
Unless you're nephew needs a line in a movie.
Right, exactly. Unless there's something that drives the story. If the waiter drives the story forward, if the waiter is coming to the table and he's got a gun under his little towel, then maybe there's something there. But you don't need to have people talk superfluously. You don't need to have extraneous talking for no reason. Superfluous.
So we're gonna wrap that superfluousness up.
Yeah, like that, exactly. Perfect example.
Once again, I'd like to thank our guest, Mike Buzzelli, for joining us here at Carnegie Screenwriters Fade In. I'm Minda Briley, and come back and see us again, kittens.
Meow.
That's awkward.
Yeah, it is. I'm an awkward human being. That's why I have all these stories. Did you not get that?